After having federal funding pulled last week due to what the state was calling a miscalculation, schools across Oklahoma started getting that money today. But there's a catch. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shay Rozzi.
And I'm Sarah Whaley. That catch is that the amount they're getting is less than what school districts expected. Fox 23's Devin Line is live with what local schools are saying, Devin, and why some lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say this is an issue.
That's right. The last few months have been confusing for several districts as Title I funding can be hundreds of thousands of dollars to meet a school's needs. And that mix-up with the totals between last week and today certainly didn't help. I dug into some of those numbers and how lawmakers are saying this is causing more issues. On the website for the Oklahoma Department of Education, Title I funding is classified as grants towards improving the academic achievement of the disadvantaged. It can mean a couple thousand federal dollars for smaller districts or even millions for larger ones. I spoke with two state representatives Wednesday just as Title I funding was announced, Oklahoma City Republican Tammy West and Tulsa Democrat Melissa Provenzano. They both say schools should have already received those federal dollars.
Well, the money should have already been there. And usually we find out how much you're going to get in April. What that money is used for is low-income schools, and you buy extra teachers for support, you buy extra materials, curriculum, anything that you need to help further support kids who need that extra oomph.
All of the things are put in place so that there is a smooth start to the school year in August. And when that doesn't happen, there's great uncertainty and scrambling at the very last minute.
Back in July, when superintendents like Bixby's Rob Miller began to question when those estimates and funds would come, Walters responded.
Same time every year, at least late August. It's the same way it's been every year.
He said nothing about the estimates they're used to receiving in the spring. After funds were announced last week, withdrawn, and then released again Wednesday afternoon, some schools say they are getting much less money than last week's original total. According to the OSDE's website, state Title I funds actually increased this year by about $5.5 million overall. Here's a look at some larger districts in Green Country who shared their numbers with me. Bixby Schools received just under $600,000 in Title I funds, but that was about $100,000 less than the number they've received initially. Union Schools received over $4 million, which is $500,000 more than last year, but $600,000 less than the number last week. Tulsa Public Schools received over $20 million, which is $2 million more than last year, but $3 million less than the first estimate.
Schools are starting out behind already and under the gun to serve these teachers.
These schools each told me they're checking with their financial teams to make sure every need is met with the official funding amount. Now, when I spoke to these districts, you may have noticed none of them went on camera. A few did tell me they were worried it would make them a target of the OSDE. I also asked lawmakers about that fear and the lack of communication. I'm working on that part of my story for Fox 23 News at 10. Live in studio, covering news that matters, Devin Lyon, Fox 23 News.
The State Department of Education just reiterating blamed the reason for last week's withdrawal of the numbers and release of new numbers this week on a glitch in calculations.